causing them so they're sleeping, and while here in the United States that they are awake. However, but probably if someone is still awake in Europe, it was nice having you watching. But one thing that I wanted to bring to attention is the Southern Cameroon questions. The Southern Cameroon questions is something that has completely been neglected. But however, I want to thank the Ambazonia defense system in Ground Zero. You guys are amazing, and it's because of you the reason why we are continuing to announce our voice and our concern, bringing to the attention in the world community that is completely neglected. You all will be aware that if this was happening in Europe, it would have been an emergency meeting session to be called either at the United Nations to discuss the crisis. But when it comes in terms of Africa, it's poorly neglected. And that is why we will continue to emphasize. Remember that the people of Southern Cameroon was never a conquered territory. The people of Southern Cameroon was not a colonial territory of La Republique du Cameroon. You all have seen recently the State Department here in the United States calling for diaspora to facilitate. There is one question that you want to ask the State Department. Who's supposed to carry on the negotiation? First, La Republique that declared war, the United States government should have pressed pressure on La Republique du Cameroon to come to negotiation table. United States is fully aware that there is an ongoing engagement in Swiss, but La Republique has not stepped in. Instead, La Republique is concentrating, carrying on genocide with the hope that they are going to secure the territory and do not have to go to the Geneva, to the Swiss conventions. However, but I want to first of all appreciate the Ambazonia defense system that are fighting on the ground and to ensure that peace and security reign in Southern Cameroon. Fellow brothers and sisters, we are in a war, and that war is serious. And we cannot be undermined this fact that although we are fighting for the defense of Southern Cameroon, but yet the world community remained adamantly silent. The world community remained adamantly silent. They understood the cause of the war because it was a systematic failure of the British authority. It was a systematic failure of the British authority in resolving this crisis in Southern Cameroon. Remain adamantly silent. The world community remained adamantly silent. They understood the cause of the war because it was a systematic failure of the British authority. It was a systematic failure of the British authority in resolving this crisis in Southern Cameroon. Okay, sorry for a brief interruption. So, why did the people of Southern Cameroon came to this point? It was you all saw the letters. I think if you are in a WhatsApp group, you must have seen it. If not, or you probably did not. So there is a letter that was written to me, more specifically to the British Commonwealth Office. In the letters, they recognize the problems. They recognize that several number of people. Let me look the exact number. Just hold on. Let me personally wrote a letter to the British government to clarify their own positions vis-a-vis the question of the Southern Cameroon. These letters was acknowledged on October 7, 2020. These letters, which was tabled, so they recognized that the letter was referred to the Foreign Office, the West African Department, to respond to these letters which I addressed to the British government to question their validity and the systematic massacre that is going on in Southern Cameroon. Listen to what the Commonwealth Office explained in a letter in a response to November 12, 2020. November 12, 2020. The British Commonwealth, British Authority referred to the British Common Office for African Affairs, in which they recognized, this is what it said. The letter was addressed to Earl and Howell and Lord Anyon. Both were the British Foreign Office. They referred the case to the African Affairs Bureau to respond to my demand in which I addressed to the question of Southern Cameroon. They acknowledged that 740,000 people, 740,000 people, by their own statistics, by the British statistics, indicate that there are citizens of Southern Cameroon that are systematically being displaced. First, they also underscore that the British government has been assisting. Let's look at what, and I want to thank the British government for their financial aspect of supporting the crisis in Southern Cameroon. I want to also thank the British government, acknowledge their continued support for financial aspect to assist in the displaced individuals of Southern Cameroon on the ongoing crisis. A total of 13.5 million British pounds has been spent. A total of 13.5. In September, the British Minister for Africa announced a 4.5 additional humanitarian assistance to the crisis that is ongoing in Southern Cameroon, which I am also deeply appreciate the British government. But the question is that why is the people of Southern Cameroon fighting? Why is the people of Southern Cameroon fighting? That is the one thing that the British government acknowledged in the last paragraph. They quoted Article 1608 XV. They quoted Article 1608 XV, which is the United Nations resolution. And that is the cause of the problem why the people of Southern Cameroon are fighting in this present moment. Article 1608, that is what the Commonwealth Office referred to the resolution 1608. And they stated that a referendum was conducted in which they state, this in reference to the letter addressed to me by the British Commonwealth Office, in reference to what I have addressed to them in regard to the ongoing crisis in Southern Cameroon, in which let me refer to their own statistics, because I don't want to quote mine, because mine is more than what they have. But in fact, let's refer to what they actually have. They said 740 people, including homes, have been destroyed in Southern Cameroon by neighboring country, although they jointly associate the citizens of Southern Cameroon. First, the citizens of Southern Cameroon are fighting to secure their own territory. They are fighting for a foreign invasion of the neighboring country, La Republique Cameroon, in which they shouldn't have been in Southern Cameroon in the first place. whatever the circumstances, okay, let's go back to Article 1608 of the United Nations General Assembly. Article 1608 of the United Nations General Assembly. It states the purpose of the United Nations General Assembly, which was held in regard to, just hold on, just hold on, you know, just hold on, just hold on, you know. Just hold on, don't go away, don't go away. The United Nations refer to the British Commonwealth Office. The United Nations refer to the British Commonwealth Office that the administrative authority of the Grand North, that they should conduct a plebiscite. They should conduct a plebiscite between the northern part that was fighting and the southern part which was fighting. So the northern part, there was a referendum that was organized between the north, and the north chose the option to join Nigeria, and that there was a referendum that was conducted. But whereas in Southern Cameroon, there was never a referendum that was conducted in regard to the question of Southern Cameroon. There was never a referendum that was conducted. You all imagine what the so-called the Fumban talks. You all know that is what they've been referred to, the so-called the Fumban talks. What was the purpose of the Fumban? Was there any negotiation? I am sure you may have watched those videos where Fonta was dancing with women. Do you think that was the purpose? La Republique intentionally knew the weaknesses of the people of Southern Cameroon leadership. And that is why what the so-called the Fumban talks. And that is what the British government in this letter dated November 12, in response to my demand. First, although they refer to the Swiss talks, of course, why the Swiss taking a shoulder? First, Swiss is not a permanent member of the Security Council. Swiss is not a permanent member of the Security Council. But they do have a voice. But it required the British government, that is the permanent member of the Security Council, to recognize the error they made. It required the British government in support the weight of the debate that is going on, what the Swiss thought, and increase their weight and said, we may have agreed that it was their recommendation. First, it was a recommendation of the British Administrative Authority refer to the so-called there were I don't know if any of you have heard about Wabat Ahmed Mokom. Wabat Ahmed Mokom is the key members that was completely neglected by the British authority. Ahmed Waba Mokom was an independent Ambazonian that was fighting. He stood for one option in which the British administrative authority opposed. The third option. And that is the key in which the British deliberately, intentionally ignore the third option. One, do the people people of Southern Cameroon opted for our independence to join Nigeria, or do they opted to join La Republique? The third option, in which the British administrative authority adamantly refused and reject, and that was what Wabat Aben Mukong stood for. And he has been several times imprisoned by this La Republique du Cameroun that continue to destroy the fundamental value of the people of Southern Cameroon. The key question, as you all listen, you may not have heard about Wabat Aben Mukong. Wabat Aben Mukong was the key member that stood for what should have been known as the third option. And that third option was totally neglected. And that is what we find the people of Southern Cameroon being triangulated by La Republique du Cameroon. The third option, in which the British declined. The third option, in which the British government declined. The third option. The third option. The third option, that's what the people of Southern Cameroon, first, the people of Southern Cameroon enjoyed a benevolent, strong, energized, and independent elected government. More than the neighboring country, La Republique du Cameroon, in which we were being forced to be governed by a foreign government, that they are neither democratic nor free and fair elections. They have never, La Republique du Cameroon in the present century has never in its own organized a meaningful democratic, a change of government. The people of Southern Cameroon has demonstrated. In 1958-59, John Goof Endele, in 1958-59, Endele was elected as the first Prime Minister of Southern Cameroon and was governed with association of the British administrative authority. It was a democratically elected government, whereas in La Republique, till the present date, La Republique has never proclaimed an elected government and the transfer of power to an officials. And yet, people claim that the people of Southern Cameroon should be under the umbrella of a dictatorship government. Subsequently, John Foncha was also elected as the Prime Minister of Southern Cameroon, in which La Republique has never, in its creation, has demonstrated this spirit. Fellow brothers and sisters, before I come back to this very topic, but I want to thank the Ambazonia Defense Force. Hey, do you know what happens? Do you know what happens? Those guys, they ask them to throw their weapons. Do you know that they're screaming? Let me see. Just hold on. Let me see. I don't know if I can open it. But listen. Those guys, that they were being deceived by La Republique du Cameroon. Those guys, they are now in tears. You can watch. I don't know if I can be able to portray. Just hold on. Let me see. Just hold on. You can hear. Those are completely rioting. Those who choose La Republique, I am sure none of them still regret what they did. You can hear them. You know, fellow brothers and sisters, it is not a mistake that we have chosen to fight and liberate our homeland. It's not a mistake. It's something that is deep ingrained into us, that liberty and freedom must prevail. United States is a prime example. United States stood no taxation without a representation.